name is Ashley, and recently I got the opportunity to study abroad in Belize, which is located in Central America. While there, I got the chance to do multiple excursions ranging from the famous Mayan ruins to ziplining to a school visit, all of which will be shown in this video as I recap my adventure and share some things that I learned with you while I was in Belize. I hope you enjoy! Upon arrival, we headed to our first hotel, the Princess Hotel, which is located in Belize City. This hotel was one of the few that wasn't a mom and pop run hotel, and more like the ones in the US. The hotel grounds were beautiful, especially the views from our room. Dinner that night was at a cute hotel restaurant consisting of chicken and rice and beans, and chocolate cake for dessert, both customary Belizean dishes. After dinner, we returned to our room, where I unintentionally showered with a lizard. When I got in, the lizard, which my roommate Courtney named Franklin, was not in the shower, but when I turned around about halfway through, there he was, and that was the end of my shower. Courtney then proceeded to rescue him from the shower and took pictures of him, and then put him outside on the palm tree away from our shower. On day 2 of our 8-day Belizean adventure, Herbie started our day out with a history lesson of Belize, which is formerly known as British Honduras and was established in the mid-1800s and later colonized in 1973. After our history lesson, we visited Lamanai, where we got the chance to explore some Mayan ruins and an original sugar mill. The way we arrived at Lamanai was by boat, which took about an hour. Our boat guide was named Baldo, and he was generous enough to stop the boat multiple times to point out some beautiful wildlife and some abandoned structures. One that I found a little strange was a rum distillery right next to a rehab facility. Baldo and Herbie also pointed out a little Amish community on our way. The Amish provide 60% of the Belize's agricultural needs on top of their own. Once at Lamanai, the sights were breathtaking, sometimes literally from all the stairs they climbed, and it was a treat to actually get to climb the ruins, because the ruins in Belize are the only ones that you can actually climb instead of platforms surrounding the ruins, which probably won't be a choice in 3 to 5 years according to Herbie. At Lamanai, I got the chance to climb the Jaguar Temple, the High Temple, the Mask Temple, and I looked at Stella 9 Temple, but didn't climb it because of the instability of it. Here, Herbie pointed out the ways that the Mayans used their surroundings to help them live. For example, they used the pheasant plant for a backcake, and they used trees, fruits, and herbs. One herb in particular was allspice, which was used as Novocaine to help with dental procedures. He also informed us that to pay tribute to the corn gods, parents used to drill holes in their children's teeth and have jade inserted into them, or they would have planks of wood be fastened to the front and back of their heads to make them taller as a tribute to the gods. We got the chance to see some howler monkeys at Lamanai too, which Herbie said was a surprise because normally they were sleeping because of their diet, which consists mostly of fruit and water, which is pretty toxic because of all the juices. They actually sleep about 70% of the day and all throughout the night. This sugar mill was pretty sweet. I love seeing all the old, rusty, and rustic-looking objects. However, this sugar mill wasn't a very successful one and shut down after 20 years of production for multiple reasons. One being because people were switching to using beet sugar instead of cane sugar. Another was that because the wrong kind of bricks were used, and if they continued to run the mill, the bricks would have gotten too hot and exploded. Pins were already moving around in place when the mill was in use as it was, and another reason was because the mill wasn't built on the water, so they couldn't use water to power it. Lunch that day consisted of chicken, rice and beans, yellow rice, bread pudding, coleslaw, and pickled onions and peppers, which were very spicy. After our hour ride back on the boat, we returned to the hotel and relaxed. Dinner was at a cute restaurant which served us homemade tortillas for chicken fajitas, and dessert was strawberry and chocolate ice cream. After dinner, our group walked around the park, which was right next to our hotel, which had a movie screen playing movies for the children, and we went down to the pier and enjoyed some drinks in the ocean. Day 3 was one of my favorite days I spent in Belize. We started out our day on our way to a jungle survival course. On our way, we passed the Belize Cemetery, and it was really interesting and not at all like the ones here in New York. Herbie said that because Belize was so close to sea level, they couldn't do the burials like we do. They first had to dig 3 feet down into the ground, do a concrete pour, and then pour a 3 feet tomb or casket on top of that to get the customary 6-foot burial. Most of the tombs were customized and were very bright and colorful, and to me looked better than the ones here in New York. The jungle survival course was located way back in the jungle on the edge of a river, and I learned lots of ways to trap small and larger animals using the resources nature provides us. I learned natural plants that can be used to help with infections or to settle stomach. I learned that water vines store a bunch of water and can come in handy in times of little to no rain. And I also got to try some fresh coconut and coconut water. Whitney, the girl in the purple shirt, tried it too, and she liked the coconuts. And then there was my reaction. I also got to try some sugar cane, which was good, but it wasn't my favorite treat. And I also got to try a native nut. We learned ways to make shelter, ways to identify plants, roots, and trees to avoid. One tree can give you second or third degree burns if the sap on the tree is green. And we also learned animals to avoid, like snakes, hornets, and killer bees, just to name a few.
Food. So you want to follow the trail until the trail comes right next to a tree. The trail pass right next to the tree, then you set something like this. This you don't have to beat it. And what happens, the animal just have to notice this one chopstick mechanism. All the animal need to do is to say, actually it doesn't have really much pressure because it's kind of want to fix all back again. But this, actually it would set that way to cross into the tree.
Our next stop was Caves Branch Outpost, where we got the opportunity to go ziplining and cave tubing. I'll be honest, I was a bit nervous to do the ziplining because I'm not the biggest fan of heights, but it was really fun and a way to let loose and face one of my fears. Our guides were very helpful and they definitely made me feel safe. We zipped across 6 different lines, all at different lengths, heights, and speeds. Some were over water, but most were over and through trees. I taped all of my rides and got some lovely footage of the trees and the sky, and not of all of the view in front of me because I didn't do the videos correctly.
Come on side.
After zipping through the trees, it was lunchtime, and we once again had chicken, rice and beans, cucumbers, potato salads, and plantains. I tried plantains for the very first time, and I didn't really care for them. To be honest, I thought they were potatoes at first. After lunch, we started on our journey to the cave, which included a 25-minute walk, which was not something I was looking forward to after I had just eaten. We walked through the rivers and the jungle. The water was very clear and refreshing from the hot sun. But I was expecting the current of the river to be flowing a lot faster through the cave than it actually was, and it was more like a glorified lazy river. We only had little headlights to see in the cave, so it was hard to see anything in the pitch black. We all split up once inside, so I didn't really hear much about the formations in the cave. Once out, we floated for about 20 minutes more, which was very relaxing, and I didn't want it to end. If you ever get the chance to go to Belize, I would definitely recommend the Windy Hill Resort, which was like a paradise. The cottages are very cozy and comfy, and the grounds were so beautiful, and we actually had hot water and water pressure. Dinner was delicious, and was the very first time I had ever had red snapper. Dessert was vanilla ice cream, which was very yummy too. After dinner, everyone went down to the bar to relax. They had a pool table, a ping pong table, and some board games. While the boys played pool, Whitney and I played snakes and ladders, and then we all played a few intense games of Jenga, followed by some stargazing since the skies were so clear in Belize. Falling asleep to the sounds of the wildlife was definitely a plus. I would also recommend going to Shenandoah if you get to go to Belize, which is another place filled with Mayan ruins. I was able to climb 2 of the ruins, but they weren't named like the last ruins, but instead called plazas, as Herbie said that as archaeologists came back and searched the sites, sometimes they made new discoveries that contradicted their past findings. His example was a man went to his bedroom to have dinner and ended up passing away there. So when archaeologists found his remains along with a bowl, a fork, and a spoon, they named that the kitchen. But when they uncovered another place that had even more bowls, spoons, and forks, and realized that this was in fact the kitchen and their past discovery was actually a bedroom, they decided to hold off on naming the places until they were completely done. I also learned that if a stela, which serves as an altar or showing of a ruler at that time, is knocked down, it's usually a bad omen and usually a sign of a bad ruler. One of the ruins I climbed that day was the highest mountain ruin in existence, and I actually recorded my climb. For those who wanted to join me as I climbed. So after our ruin exploration, we stopped at the museum on site and got to see some ancient artifacts and replicas of how the Mayans used to live. We were also able to do a little shopping at some roadside family-run stands that sold a lot of homemade items. I even got to see how a slate carving is made, so as I was shopping in that stand, the owner was making one and explained how he did so. He said that he was only able to complete one carving a day because they were pretty time-consuming. He first had to cut the slate with his machete, smooth out the markings made by the machete, shape the stone, decide, map out, and draw what he's going to make, and then he used a screwdriver to chisel out the slate to make the design. He then paints it and adds the Mayan calendar to the outside rim of the stone. I bought a slate carving with a turtle on it, which is supposed to be the symbol of good luck. We stopped for lunch quickly at Benny's Kitchen, not too far from the ruin site, which consisted of beef burritos and watermelon, before we headed off to the Butterfly Sanctuary. While the Butterfly Sanctuary was very informational, it wasn't my favorite excursion while in Belize. Our butterfly expert walked us through the lifeline of becoming a butterfly from the time of being an egg up until the time of death. It takes more time to become a butterfly than the actual life expectancy of a butterfly. Our guide said that a butterfly lives life drunk all the time because they survive on fermented fruit, and he said that's pretty rational because the life expectancy of a butterfly is only 21 days. He explained that a male butterfly is smaller in size and has brighter colored wings than a female, while the female is bigger in size and has duller wings. After the Butterfly Sanctuary, we went on a primary school visit, which was quite fun. We visited a class of 3rd graders, and they sang us a special song called Mr. Sun.
Hiding behind the tree, all these little children are asking you to please come out so we can play with you. Oh, Mr. Sun, Mr. Sun, please shine down on me. Shine, 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 shine your light on me. Yeah. Shine, 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 oh, you make me so happy.
The principal of the school was also a teacher and said that even though the government says that it funds the school, it really doesn't because the teachers are the ones that buy all the school supplies the students in the classrooms need apart from donations and what the students bring themselves. We brought some school supplies for them to divide up as they saw fit and left them in the front office, including 2 soccer balls, which the children were very happy about. The school days there is like a typical school day here in New York. They start in September and end in June. For Christmas, they get 3 weeks off, and for Easter, they get 2 weeks off. They can learn in both English and in Spanish in school, is mandatory up until 8th grade. The children were ready to go out and play with us. The boys played football, soccer to us, with the little boys, while the majority of the girls on our trip played tag, duck, duck, goose, and they also played Run Over, Run Over, which is our version of Red Rover. If you're an animal lover like me, I would recommend visiting the Belize Zoo if you ever get the chance to go to Belize. The zoo was established in 1983 by Sharon Matola. Most of the animals that are at the zoo today were either pets, wounded, or sick, and now they have a 28-acre home. There were so many different animals at the zoo, ranging from kinkajous to tapirs to monkeys, exotic birds, turtles, jaguars, and anything in between. I really enjoyed seeing the monkeys. The spider monkeys were quite the show-offs, by either climbing up high in the trees or posing for quite a few pictures, and I really enjoyed seeing Springfield and Junior Buddy, mother and son jaguars. Junior Buddy was quite laid back and sunbathed, while Springfield was showing off for us. She ended up getting a little annoyed and swatted the electric fence on the inside of her sanctuary and ended up running away, because let's face it, who enjoys being shocked? Some of the animals really enjoyed getting their picture taken, like the margay, but there was animals like the puma, or some of the monkeys or the exotic birds that really didn't care for it, so I didn't really get the chance to get a lot of pictures of them.
Oh my gosh. Hi. You're pretty. Oh, she's pretty.
And this is Junior's mom?
Yeah, this is crazy.
Springfield's your name?
Springfield.
Yeah.
Fast like a boy.
Oh, wow.
He's not going to touch. He's not even going to touch this.
Oh, because that's...
Over by the jaguars at the zoo, I saw this sign and I thought it would be more suiting if on the bottom it said, "All others will be eaten." The exotic birds were scattered all throughout the zoo. I got lots of beautiful pictures of them, and I was kind of surprised at some of the noises they made. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Sample by channel.
Oh, I like that picture. Whoa! Every time I try to get a picture.
After the zoo, we had a quick lunch consisting of smoked rice and beans, which wasn't my favorite kind, and chicken, and then we were off to the howler monkey sanctuary. I thought it would be more like the zoo, but in reality it was like going into someone's backyard and looking for monkeys in a tree. The monkeys were a little bit stubborn at first and wouldn't come down until we offered them some food. I got to feed a monkey with a picture to prove it, and a video of the alpha male monkey howling away. He sounded like a dinosaur to me. The males kind of have howling competitions, and whichever one howls the loudest is the alpha male.
So therefore you could have like two chicks facing each other. The one that howl the hardest, the one that babble. They don't go into physical combat. The one time the monkeys they go physical over here. Typical human style. Where we're having husband tumbling for wife and wife tumbling for husband. Over territory deep verbally.
After that, we headed back to Belize City to catch a water taxi to head to our next destination, Corona del Mar, a nice beachside hotel. We had dinner at Pinocchio's, a little Italian restaurant which consisted of red snapper, rice, mashed potatoes, tomato bruschetta, and chocolate cake. Herbie showed us a supermarket that was really a tourist kind of market. It had a lot of foods and items that we have in the US, but they were also really pricey because we had to ship them to Belize. For example, I was looking at a box of Trix cereal and they wanted $8 USD, and a bag of Lay's potato chips was $9 USD. My 6th day in Belize was probably my favorite one of all. I got to snorkel, scuba dive, and sea trek all for the very first time. This is my very first time in the ocean, and I knew that the water was going to be salty, but I didn't realize how salty it actually was until I accidentally took a gulp of it, which was a huge mistake. I must say that I expected the corals to be brighter in color than they actually were when we were snorkeling, but I later learned that since where we were snorkeling was a prime place to do so, all the sand and sediment that were being kicked up really diminished the corals' colors, and if we were to have gone to another place, the corals would have been brighter. There were so many fish swimming around us, it was unreal, and I think my favorite fish of all was the parrotfish because it was so colorful. I also swam with sea turtles, stingrays, and had a nurse shark swim right under me, and I'll be A-OK if I don't swim with sharks again. My favorite part of the day was probably the sea trek. I felt like an astronaut under the water, and it felt like everything was going in slow motion. The helmet above water weighed 72 pounds, but below water it was only about 15. The bottom of our helmets were open, but no water got in. The way we got our air supply was through a cord connected to our helmets, and as long as we stayed in line and didn't tangle up our cords, we were fine. The marine life swimming around us was a fun sight, and the scuba diver that went with us gave us fish to feed the other fish. Scuba diving was also a fun time, and I got to scuba the whole time, while others had trouble and had to return to the floating boathouse early. Scuba diving is a mixture of scuba diving and snorkeling. We used goggles with the snorkel attached, but instead of using the snorkel, we used a mouthpiece that was connected to an air tank, which was attached to a raft. You can put up to 4 people on one raft, and you also wear an 11-pound weight belt to help you stay down in the water. Other than us all getting badly sunburned that day, it was amazing. For dinner that night, we had like a beef stew kind of thing with rice and fruit. We ended the night with a root beer float party in our room, which made the day even better. Day 7 was a sad day as we had to say goodbye to some friends we had made. They unfortunately had to go home early, but it was great meeting them. This day was my free day, so a couple of my friends and I rented a golf cart for the day, which is one of the main ways to get around on the island. We went to the Belize Chocolate Company and had some yummy treats, and then we went to Moho Chocolate and bought some more chocolate treats. We stopped at a couple of gift shops too, and then made plans with the Saga Humane Society to come back and volunteer after lunch, because it's never a bad time to volunteer. We ate lunch at Jamble's and then went back to the shelter. I walked a dog named Milk, who was a walking garbage disposal, and I had to stop him from eating so many things. Our last dinner there was at El Patio, and we had fish tacos and flan before going down to the beach where Herbie showed us a thing called chicken drop, which is basically where chickens are fed until they're ready to burst, and then they're put in a ring with numbers on the floor. People bet on the number and hope that the chicken ends up dropping there, and if they do, they win money. I found it very odd, but judging by the size of the crowd surrounding the ring, it was pretty popular. Well, that's my Belizean adventure. I'm blessed to have had a chance to experience what I did, and I can't wait to go back. This was very educational, not only about history, but culturally as well, and I won't soon forget it.